astronauts. Without further ado, I would like to give the floor to veteran of 2 space flights and the first European commander of the International Space Station and head of this center, Frank de Winne. It works. Sugar.
Thank you very much, Test 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's better if I would turn it on. Okay, so you see, I'm a real astronaut. When there are buttons involved, I don't have a procedure. I don't know what to do. So, welcome everybody from my side here in the European Astronaut Centre. Of course, it's a very joyful day for us. It was a very joyful day on the 3rd of April when the new class started their training here, but it's very joyful to see so many of you here present in the center and also online. I hear as well that we have a lot of people watching online. It's of course great that after a period of selection, which lasted about 2 years, and the final announcement of the class of 2022 at the last ministerial conference, that we have now our astronauts here present in the center, that they are working and training here in their daily lives. And of course it's very good for us and for all the people involved, but especially for the astronauts. We are very proud here at ESA because not everybody is doing basic training for the International Space Station. Actually today it's only GSC, so our colleagues from NASA, in Star City in Russia, and here at ESA that we implement basic training for astronauts that fly to the International Space Station. We did this the first time in 2009, and we see 2 veterans here from that class, Alex and Matthias, that are present here with us. And as you know, our 2009 class was very successful in implementing all their missions. We have had plenty of astronauts doing spacewalks, doing robotic operations, being commanders of space stations, so that is a tribute to the quality of all the people that you see here on the balconies and that are working here in the European Astronaut Centre training our astronauts. And of course we are looking forward to do the same with our new young class. Not only, and that is different from 2009, not only do we do the basic training of our own astronauts, but for the first time as well, we train astronauts from another country. Catherine is here with us from Australia, seconded by the Australian Space Agency. Of course, this is regular that this happens in Houston and in Star City, but for ESA, this is the first time. And again, it's a tribute to the quality of our training here. And then, of course, we need to outlook. What will be the outlook of this class that is starting training here? The basic training will last for about 13 months. It will end next year in May. And then we will be ready to assign them to the first mission to the International Space Station. Our plan is to have the next flight of one of the candidate astronauts from the 2022 class to the ISS in 2026. So that is also something to look forward to. But of course it's not one flight like we have done with the 2009 class. They have all been able to fly quite quickly, and we intend to do the same. So the aim is that before 2030, before the end of this decade, all of them will have had the opportunity to fly to space and to fly to the International Space Station. So I think you have a great future ahead of you. We will do our best to qualify you, to train you, so that you can become the best possible astronauts. And with that, I leave it to Jules. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you very much, Frank. And I will leave the floor to ESA's commander, the Director General, Joseph Aschbacher.
So thank you, Jules, and also from my side, I have to say I'm very impressed having these wonderful astronaut candidates here sitting in the first row for the first official press conference as astronaut candidates. It's a very special moment for you, but also for us in ESA, and I'm just so happy seeing you there and listening to you in a couple of minutes about your experience and what you have seen. But let me just say a couple of words. First of all, I would like to really express my thanks to my team. Frank is training the astronauts, but it's not only Frank himself. As you said, there's a lot of people here in the Astronaut Center who are working very hard to make sure that your training is perfect, is seamless, and you learn everything you need to learn to go into space to be a future astronaut. But also, of course, sitting here or standing in front of our existing astronauts, already trained astronauts, we have here Matthias and Alex, is always a very special moment, because if you look at these missions, and I'm sure you have learned everything about these missions, this is your future. This is the future that you will have, and as you see that they have done an incredible job for ESA, for space, for Europe, and I think this is just something that has to be stated, that you astronauts are playing a very special role in the ESA context, but not only in the ESA context, really for Europe and for Europe at large, because you inspire, because you really show people what can be done, and what sometimes you do the impossible, and I think this is something that you are trained for, that you are good at, and you have been selected for. And I still remember when I talked to each of you during the interviews in October. Some of you have really told me very good and interesting stories of what inspires you to become an astronaut and why you want to do exactly that job. I think this was just so eye-opening for me. But also I saw the spark in your eyes that you want to do nothing else than being an astronaut and going to space and just doing that, and nothing would stop you doing that. And I can see this spark there after months of training, and I think it has even ignited even more. So happy to see you again. Some of you I've met in the meantime on different occasions, and even had some contacts with some of you in between. So that means during your training, giving me your first impressions, and I like that, because I'd like to first of all be in touch with you, but also seeing your emotions and your experiences, and I think this is just wonderful. Let me say a word about inspiration, and this is something extremely important, and this is the report which was recently published. All of you have seen it, called Revolution Space. Revolution Space may sound very revolutionary, and I think it is meant to be revolutionary. And I should say that this title was not chosen by us. This was a title chosen by the experts, by the high-level advisory group members who have been preparing and writing this report. And what they said, maybe one word for context, we have asked, and this goes back to the Space Summit in 2022, we have asked a group of high-level experts, not from the space community, to reflect what Europe should be doing in space, and especially on human and robotic exploration. And they've really reflected that these people have been very well known figures in public life, either a previous Secretary General of NATO, an economist or several economists, several politicians, a real explorer who was on Earth exploring the North Pole, the South Pole, and the Mount Everest on foot, an artist. So really different people have been reflecting on what Europe should be doing. And they have prepared this report, Revolution Space, and they have really said Europe needs to wake up. Europe needs a wake-up call, because what is the reality is that today Europe is, of course, thankfully flying with other partners to space. In the past with Russia and America, today with America. The partnership is extremely strong and extremely good, and let me just be crystal clear that I value this a lot, and we have a very strong partnership, and this will always continue. However, these experts were saying, you, Europe, should also be more independent or more autonomous in order to be an even better partner for our international partners, NASA and others. And this is something that they made crystal clear. And it is not only about space, it is about geopolitical aspects, economic aspects, keeping the young talents, the best talents in Europe through inspiring projects, by sending astronauts with our European means, that means European rockets, a European capsule, first to low Earth orbit and eventually to the moon. And this is what they asked us to investigate. They asked us to look into this and see what needs to be done in order to achieve these goals, and whether Europe will be ready to do that. What I'm doing, and this is actually going back to Agenda 2025, which is the ESA strategy I put on the table on the first day becoming DG a bit more than 2 years ago, is that Europe needs to step up, and Europe needs to intensify its capabilities in space. So therefore, I will ask politicians, decision makers in ESA and the member states at the Space Summit in November of what they believe Europe should be doing. Of course, in the meantime, we are elaborating scenarios, we are elaborating cost estimates, we are elaborating different options that can be taken and can be chosen from. But certainly we will work on our side to have all the information on the table for politicians, decision makers at the Space Summit to make a decision where Europe should go, or guide us where Europe should go with robotic and astronautic or human exploration. And you, young astronauts, candidate astronauts, you are a very important element in this discussion, because you are the next generation, of course, now going to ISS, together then with, of course, our existing astronaut corps, who also wants to eventually go towards or eventually onto the moon. And I think this creation of awareness, this creation of inspiration and enthusiasm is something that you can portray best, because you are really inspiring to all of us, and I thank you for being that. So thank you from my side, and I hand back to Jules.
Thank you, Joseph. Well, revolution space and the question about Europe's autonomy in human space flight, the discussion is now launched. So also for you, and we have an appointment, 6th of November, Sevilla Space Summit. I now call on stage Director for Human and Robotic Exploration, Dave Parker.
Well, good morning for me. It's a real honour and pleasure to be here. It's a special day to see our new group of astronauts entering the training here at the Astronaut Centre in Cologne. I was reflecting back to February 2021 when we launched the campaign that has led up to today. We were still in lockdown, and I was standing in my kitchen back home as we were starting this amazing process, more than 22,000 applications that led to this step of having a new group entering training here at EAC. What I wanted to do today is just recall what is the program that they are joining, what is the exploration program that we have in Europe now. You know, I always like to say exploration is a unique combination of curiosity and opportunity. The curiosity to venture out into the unknown, and the opportunity to bring back all the knowledge and skills and capabilities we gain by sending our humans and their robot buddies out into space. So the exploration program now has grown in Europe from a sad state a few years ago. It was in a state of decline, let us say, 7, 8, 9 years ago. But now, and I promise this is only the one graph I have in my presentation, is to say we've reversed that trend with the great support of our member states. We have put together what was 7 pieces into one single exploration program, and been supported by the member states through the past 3 ministerial council meetings to grow it into a program that's growing. But it is only a start. We've gone from 1.5 billion in the first phase, 2 billion in the second phase, nearly 3 billion in the third phase. I'm sure it'll be 4 billion or more in the next step. So what are we doing? Why are we going? What are we trying to achieve? The exploration program is built around 3 destinations where human beings will one day live and work. And so the program that we have shaped for the rest of this decade is the place where we've been living and working for more than 20 years, low Earth orbit aboard the International Space Station, and we will continue doing that till the end of this decade. We're sending our robots and our humans to the moon as the next place where we will live and work, and keeping in mind the horizon goal of Mars, the red planet, the horizon goal for our human exploration program. We won't go there soon, but our robots are there already preparing the way. And so the reasons to go into space are many, but one of them is to bring back knowledge and skills that we need back on Earth. Our scientific program, just in 1 year, I just captured a few examples here of what we're doing aboard the International Space Station. Everything from basic biology, fundamental science, understanding our planet from space, developing technologies and skills for new materials. All of this is happening in Europe's laboratory, Columbus Laboratory, aboard the International Space Station, and more will come. And some of it is medical science, some of it is preparing us to go farther. What are the challenges of sending humans into deep space? What happens to the brain of an astronaut. This is an experiment done aboard the International Space Station, which is looking at the plasticity of the human brain, how it changes and evolves in the space environment, and what happens when the astronaut comes back again. Good news, it does revert largely to where it was before it goes into space. This is good news for our colleagues on the front row. But we are pioneers at ESA. We are pioneers in what we're trying to do. All of the astronauts are pioneers, but we're also trying to do something novel by preparing and starting the para-astronaut feasibility project. Alongside selecting the astronaut candidates that have entered training, we selected John McFall to join this project that aims to put the first astronaut into space to do a full mission, a normal scientific, technological mission aboard the space station, who just happens to have a physical disability. This is an important message about representation and opportunity, because everything we do up there is for humanity back here on Earth. So John is going to start working here at the Astronaut Centre very soon and work on taking down the barriers that may exist to launching him into space. Now, we're going towards the moon, and we've made the first steps. Europe is now on the critical path for sending humans to the moon through the Artemis program. And I love this famous picture already of looking back at the moon and Earth from the Artemis 1, thanks to the European Service Module, built in Europe, technology to take humans to the moon. And so I pause for a moment to just recall the mission that happened towards the end of last year, and to which is already inspiring, I know, all of the astronauts on the front row here. They all dream of flying to the moon, and following on from our first European that went to the moon, Shaun the Sheep. I hope the sound is turned full blast. If you could just play the video. Here we go. Now, it's the technology we use to go to the moon that's special, but the people that make it happen across the European Space Agency, especially here in the Astronaut Centre, that makes this all possible. Where are we going to send our astronauts to, first of all, is the Lunar Gateway. We are now building humanity's most distant research outpost. Europe is right at the heart of this programme to have a permanent presence around the moon with the Lunar Gateway. And from 2025, this station will become operational. And we have already agreed that 3 ESA astronauts will fly on Artemis missions to the Gateway. And so that's an exciting next step to look forward to. But we don't leave it there. Our plans for lunar exploration are ambitious. We want to be there permanently. It's a museum of 4.5 billion years of solar system history, so we really need to explore that museum properly and bring back all the knowledge and skills we can gain by exploring the moon. And to do that, we need the infrastructure. This is the first piece, the gateway. The second piece is all the communications and navigation infrastructure that we will need, and we're pioneering that by working in a commercial partnership with industry to develop lunar communications and navigation satellites, starting in 2025. But we also need to get our science and our technology to the surface of the moon, and that's why we're building the Argonaut landers. That will start, thanks to the decisions of the last Council of Ministers last year, with the Argonaut program this year. We'll start selecting the industry and the companies and all the organizations that will build these landers to take Europe to the moon in the 2030s. But we don't leave it there. We are already at our horizon goal of Mars with our robots. The ExoMars Trace-Gus Orbiter is our sniffing robot that is trying to understand the mysteries of Mars, its atmosphere, looking for the water that one day astronauts will use on the surface. And we are overcoming challenges. We have overcome the challenge a year ago of the discontinuation of our rover mission to Mars, Rosalind Franklin. We've taken up the challenge to build our own European lander to take Rosalind Franklin to Mars, the first attempt to drill below the surface and search for the evidence of ancient life on a sea 4 billion years old. And our cooperation is deep with NASA, as the Director General has said, and it's being deepened right now with our cooperation to make the first round trip to Mars, we call it Mars Sample Return, to bring scientific treasure and material back from the red planet, but also to act, if you like, as a scale model of the first attempt to send humans to Mars. It's the scale model, all the things we need to do to go to Mars, to land on Mars, to take off from Mars, to come back again safely. And so putting it all together, this is our vision of the exploration program for the rest of this decade. But the next steps, as the Director General, are already being thought about. What might come next? What might be the more ambitious steps? I know the program is in good hands and will go forward. But from my own side, I want to summarize it with this video, which shows you the exploration program that I've described in 90 seconds. Dear astronaut candidates, I hope you are excited by the program. Allow me just 30 seconds of personal input at this point. My journey into space is coming to an end, at least at the exploration program of ESA. It's been my pleasure and responsibility to guide it over the past 7 years, but I've only been guiding because I've had a fantastic team here at the Astronaut Centre, ESTEC, and sometimes up above when I get phone calls from people like Alex from the International Space Station. So let me express my thanks. It's been a privilege of my life to support the European Exploration Programme and the International Exploration Programme. But I know I'm handing it over to someone, Daniel Neuenschwander, who will take it forward to even greater things in the future. But from me, all I can say is live long and prosper.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Dave Parker. And now I call on stage ESA's new astronauts, Sophie Adenot, Pablo Álvarez, Rosemary Coogan, Raphaël Liégeois, Marco Sieber, and Joseph Ashpara, our DG. Nice, very, very nice to see you. Also very a joyful moment, as Frank said, to see all of you here on stage. DG, you've met all of them already. Now you see them as a team. What do you think?
No, thank you. I think it's just amazing to see them standing here, all excited, and I think you have been inspired by the videos and by the presentation of Dave, what is ahead of you. I can only wish you all the best and all the good luck for the future. But before I hand back to Jules, let me also add one word of big thanks to David for being a director of human and robotic exploration for about 7 years. He, as he mentioned, he will change into a new function, and Daniel Neuenschwander will will take over as the director of a human and robotic exploration. Dave has done an amazing job putting all this together, having these astronauts fly to the space station, having the new astronauts coming on stage, getting the exploration program to the ministerial, getting it well funded, of course, with the help of so many other people. 37% increase of budget for the exploration program, the biggest increase of the larger programs. So, David, from my side, a big thank you on behalf of ESA, on behalf of our member states, I think on behalf of everyone here for the good work you have done. I think this deserves a small round of applause for David. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Joseph. So, guys, first impressions.
Yeah, so thank you all for being here. It is, as Frank said, a day of joy for us as well, and it's very nice to have you all here to celebrate our first month anniversary at the European Astronaut Centre. About the first impressions, I would definitely say something around excitement, around pleasure. You said that we had sparks in our eyes during the interviews. I can tell you that the spark is growing. It is growing thanks to all the teams that have been working hard over the last few months or even more to provide us with really an amazing training during these first weeks. So I would say that I'm super happy with the first few weeks, and I'm looking forward to the upcoming year of basic training.
It's been exactly a month since you've landed here on the first day. Any highlights of the training, Rose?
Thank you. Well, I think it's always incredibly It's a huge pleasure to learn in this group environment. It's a huge amount of enjoyment that we take from that. And with the first month of basic training has been extremely varied. We've had a lot of different experts come in and share their knowledge. But I think one of the highlights has been taking the trip to the biology labs and starting to look at all the different microscopes, some of which we have on the space station, starting to do pipetting of samples in completely sterile environments, and trying to imagine now, I think we all are, how that might be in a microgravity environment in the next few years. So
it's been back to school then as well, huh? Marco, anything you're looking forward to in the next month now?
Yeah, so I think every one of us is looking forward to the whole basic training because it sounds very exciting. But I think especially we're looking forward to also the practical lessons like the EVA training in the pool or, for example, survival training. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and to do this together is really a great thing.
I hope you can enjoy your new job then. Pablo, you went also from building spacecraft to hopefully flying spacecraft very soon. How does that feel?
So yes, coming from the industry, I think I know and I understand the excellent level of engineering we can achieve and what we can do when we work all together as Europeans. And I cannot wait to actually see one of us or my fellow colleagues riding an Orion spacecraft on top of our European service module towards the moon.
And you guys are very different. It's been only 1 month that you've been spending your days here. Do you feel as a team already?
Yeah, I can tell you that as a team already we feel very bonded. We got to know each other a bit better since the basic training started. And I can tell you that I was very impressed to meet all of the other talents in the teams. And now our hard work is going to be able to go from individual talent to collective wisdom, thanks to also our mentors of the previous class.
Alex and Matthias present here, being the mentors, of course. Thank you, Sophie. Do we have any questions from the floor right now, ready for the group? Or does everyone really is eager to have their one-on-ones? Any questions? Yes? Oh, sorry. Yes? Can we have a mic? So I'm going down the stage to give you the mic. Here.
Hello, Marie-Ange from Espace and Expression. Is it exactly the first days and weeks here, are they exactly just like you imagine?
Yeah, so it has only been 4 weeks, but it has been, I think, somehow as we imagined, because we knew a bit the schedule of the first few weeks, and so we had a lot of lessons in biology or physics, and also sports lessons. So I think it was a bit how we imagined, but it was also, I mean, a really nice thing to get to know all the people from EAC and the whole directorate. So that was really a good time.
Another question over here.
Robert Vogel from Paris-Rodan magazine. Hello. I would like to know what inspired each of you to be an astronaut. It's not a normal day job, so I guess you can tell us interesting stories about that.
Don't know if you have the time for the whole backstory for each of you, but does someone want to take that? Yeah.
Yeah, at least it can be very personal, but at least for me, what inspired me was previous astronauts. So I had the example of Pedro Duque in Spain, and I'm sure that every one of us needed reference in which they could see themselves reflected at some point.
Any other question? No? Everyone's yes? Here in front, Anja. Or Carmen, thank you.
Good morning, Koen Wouters, Belgian television. What has been the most difficult part in the training so far? Yves.
Well, I guess I can answer. I would say I was really impressed by the preparation that all the teams have put to provide us with the best support on all aspects, being medical, being operational, being administrative, etc. So I wouldn't say that there was something very difficult. There are some difficult technical challenges, but we always have the support to go and to see the instructors and to learn more or to work more on these topics. So all the resources are provided for us to really move forward.
Thank you very much. That's it. Well, if that's it, then I will ask the 6 of you and also you to come in front of the stage. We'll make a nice group picture. Please make sure you don't fall. Stay here now. So I invite all the agency photographers and photographers on site to have the nice group picture. Be kind. Take this opportunity to also say thank you very much and goodbye to everyone who followed this conference on the web. Thank you very much. That's it from the Astronaut Centre. Yes, I will move away from the stage.